Hey guys, it's day 5 of 100 days of DSA challenge, and today we are doing Leetcode's medium level question 901 online stocks man. Now this question demands that we return a span array for the given input array. So the given input array contains the information about the price of a stock. So let's say that this array has the price of a particular stock on certain days. So on day 1 the price of the stock was 7, on day 2 it was 2, on day 3 it was 1, on day 4 it was 2, and so on. Okay. So what we have to do is we have to return a span array for this input array. Now what is a span array according to this question? The span of a particular element is the number of days before that particular element for which the stock's price was less than or equal to the current price of the stock. Okay, and these have to be consecutive number of days. So for example, if this is an element 7, then I have to find that for how many consecutive days before 7, and I have to include 7 in that too. Okay, so for how many days including 7 and before 7 was the stock's price less than or equal to the current price, which is 7? Well, there are no elements before this, so basically the answer will be 1 because we are considering 7 too. Now for 34, what will be the answer? For how many days was the stock's price less than or equal to 34 before 34? Well, it will be 2 because one is 7, the other one is 34. Remember, we are including the current element too. For 1, what will it be? It will be 1 because before it, this is not less than 1. This is not less than 1. So the answer will be only 1. Okay. And for 2, it will be 2 because we will include this as it is less than 2, and we will include this as it is the current element. Okay. Similarly, if we add another element to this array, let's say 8, then the answer for this will be 3 because 1, 2, 3. Okay. So that was the explanation of the question. Now, you might get confused because of the way this code will be given to you, the skeleton code will be given to you. But there's no need to be confused because this is just a constructor function and we don't have to use it. There has to be no code written in it. You just have to write your logic in the next function. Okay. So you might get confused by this too, but don't worry about it. Just ignore this. You have to write the code for this input array. Okay. So now let's understand the explanation. Now I want you to first pause and think that how can you solve this question using the approach we have used in the past 2 days. Alright, so now let's see how to solve this question. Now if you have been watching my videos for the past 2 days, you know how to do this question. This has the same concept, the same exact concept as the previous question, which was daily temperatures. So you have to solve this by using a monotonic stack. Okay, so what we are doing different in this question is that we are using a paired stack instead of a normal stack. So a paired stack is just like a simple stack, but instead of storing one element at once, like previously we were just going to store like this one element, now we are going to store 2 elements in this. Okay, so this is going to make understanding the question a lot easier. So that's why I've used a paired stack. So now let's see how it works. So what we are going to store in the paired stack is price comma span. Okay, so for each element in this array we are going to store price comma span. Okay, so firstly, how will we find the span? We will initialize span as 1. In the beginning, we will initialize span as 1 because by default we have to return 1, right? For the first element. So for the first element, I will say it is 7, comma 1. Okay. But for each iteration, how am I calculating the span? I'm calculating the span by adding it to the previous span. Okay, I'll explain it. I'll explain it. Wait. So now I have come across this element 34. Okay. So for 34, it will first check. It will check a condition. What was the condition? That the condition was that the previous element of the array should be less than or equal to the current element. Do you all agree to that? I think you understood. And what is the previous element? It is actually the stack's top. And what is the current element? It is actually the stock's price, the current price. So as long as this condition is satisfied, we are going to pop the top of the stack. And before popping the top of the stack, we are just going to add the current span to the previous span. So the current span will be 1, because in this we are calling this function for each element of this array. Right, so for 100 this function will be called, for 80 this function will be called, for 60 this function will be called. So every time the span is being initialized by 1. Okay, and in this statement, see, I have written while stack is not empty and price is greater than or equal to stack dot top dot first. Now I'll explain what this first and second is in a second, but try to understand the concept of this line. Here I'm adding span plus equal to stacks top dot second. So stacks top dot second is basically the span, and stacks, this is the second. So in the paired stack, this is the syntax to basically call this. Okay, to access the second element of the thing we have stored in the stack, you just say stacks top dot second, and this is the stacks top dot first. All right. So what am I saying is we are adding span, the current span equal to current span plus stack dot top stacks top second element, which is the span. Okay, so basically for 34, see, it is first 34 comma 1, because the current span is 1. Now I'm adding the current span plus the span which is at the top. If this condition is satisfied, only then I'm doing that. Okay, so now what will be the new span? It will be 1 plus this 1. So that will be 2. So now this is 34 comma 2. As simple as that. And after storing the span, we are going to pop the array, we are going to pop the top now. So now 7 comma 1 will be popped. Okay, and what was the condition? While stack is not empty and price is greater than or equal to stack top. But as now the stack is empty, this while loop will stop, and now the stack dot, we will simply push this thing into the stack. This is the syntax for the paired stack, to push an element. And now 34 comma 2 will be stored in this. Great. Now what's the next element? It is 1. Is the previous element, which is stack's top, is it greater than 1? No, it's not. I mean, it is greater than 1. So basically we are going to simply push the element. So this loop won't execute. We will simply push the element. So 1 comma stack's top is 1. I mean, the current span is 1. So we'll simply push this 1 comma 1. Now this will run for our next element, which is 2. So for 2, it will check if the previous element is less than or equal to 2. Yes, it is less than 2. So I will simply add the span. So first it was 2 comma 1, as the 1 is the current span. But now I will add the previous span to its span. So now this will be 2 comma 2. Okay, and after that this element will be popped. And now this is the stack stop 34 comma 2. Now this won't satisfy this condition. So now I will stop popping the elements, and I will stop adding the span, and I will simply push 2 comma 2 into this, 2 comma 2 into this. Okay, and let's say 8 was there too. So 8 is there. So then I'll check, is the previous element, the stack stop first, is it greater than 8? No, it is not greater than 8. So this condition is satisfied. So I will simply add the span of this, which is 2. into the span of this, which will be 1. So that will be 2 plus 1 equals to 3. So now this will be 8 comma 3. So I'll simply pop this. Oh no. Yeah, I'll pop it and I'll add 2 comma 3 into this. Right? Sorry, not 2 comma 3, 8 comma 3 into this, because the element is 8. So you see, by this we successfully found out the span for all these elements. Okay, so we will simply return the span. See, this is working for each element in the array. This function is working for each element in the array. So that is why you simply have to return the span you calculated here for each element of the array. So while we were calculating the span for each element, we were returning it. Hence, you don't have to use a map or anything else like in the previous videos. So that's it, guys. This was a fairly easy question. If you had watched the previous videos, I'm sure you did not have to face any trouble solving this. So thanks for watching. See you on day 6.